Hello, Jeffrey Hahn here at Pine Run Garden, and it is April 19th or 20th, and we're in Zone 6A in central Pennsylvania. I'm just gonna do a little tour of our garden around the house where we're incorporating permaculture techniques, including terracing, swales, terracing, no dig, deep mulches, and incorporating perennials. We're creating plant guilds, plant communities. So let's just take a look around. We're doing a few other things from permaculture as well, so we'll explain that as we go. And looks like a kitty wants in, so just gonna let her in real quick. It's time to go in. There you go. I got a lot of plants started here, ready to transplant, including cabbage, spinach, lettuce, and some perennials there, some flowering perennials, including this is Canterbury bells and anise hyssop, and this is vervain or verbena rather. I always mix those names up. Some red leaf lettuce, of course spinach and cabbage. Over here I have a mix of perennials ready to go into the foodscape. These are Job's tears, which is an ancient grain. Also, the seeds are made into necklaces, because that's a perennial food plant. I'm not sure it'll be perennial in Zone 6A. I think it needs to be a little more south. And then we have some echinacea, and this is Canterbury bells. And here we have a couple different kinds, that's kind of milkweed right there, Asclepias. That's the yellow flowering one. Larkspur and feverfew. All right, let's take a look at the spring garden. There's some peach trees. We started from pits right in the foreground here, and then back there that's a pear tree, just starting to show a few leaves and flowers. And then down here we have sage and oregano and lots of garlic coming up there, spring garlic, columbine, and more sage. Here's some onions that few were starting to rot, so I just stuck them in the ground, and now we get the greens. So we got some green onions we can cut. And then this is some thyme here, and a couple more onions, but I just kind of scratched the surface here to just kill some of the little weeds growing here, and getting ready to transplant a few things there. Chives, that's hyssop, more garlic coming up, more garlic. Monarda, a native, beautiful flowering plant. Some more sage back there. And not sure what this is anymore, I forget. Yarrow. And then let's move up here to our top terrace. And then here we have more sage, hyssop, and columbine. The bright green thing right there, that's Maltese cross, which is a native plant with beautiful flowers. And then we have our rhubarb. And I threw a whole bunch of just flower seeds down, and also there was some tobacco, some rare tobacco growing here, a very rare type of tobacco that would have reseeded. So there's all kinds of little things coming up, sprouting, and I'm just going to let them get a little bigger and then kind of select out the plants I want and weed everything else out of the way. So there'll be a bunch of other flowers in here. I'm not sure what will grow yet. Here we have daisy, fleabane, hyssop, and clover growing together, and this beautiful pear tree that's flowering very nicely this year. This is its third year in the food forest, and I forget which one this is. Hardy giant Asian pear. So it's flowering slightly ahead of the other pear trees. And it looks really nice. And then we got another younger rhubarb plant here. And then this is a Causa dogwood, Japanese kind of dogwood with edible fruits. And there's some snapdragons there. And then right here is our garlic. And I just started to mulch some of that with grass clippings right here. So here we see, the terracing. And then the swale. If you don't know what a swale is, it's just like a little ditch running along the back of the terrace. And that controls the water. So when it rains, rather than the water just washing off, it flows into and fills up the swale and sinks into the terrace, creating a reservoir of moisture. So then the area can withstand dry spells. If there's too much rain, then this acts as a drainage ditch as well, because I can then open up a trench, which I still have the old one here when we had a bunch of rain right here, and Then I drain it down to the next terrace so that this terrace won't be flooded, and then that lower terrace I cut a ditch over there and a low point right over here, and that would flow down to the terrace below, and then that I can easily drain off right here by the compost into the street drain, which is right there behind this cedar tree, and flows into a culvert that goes under the road and shunts off down on the other side of the road to the creek. So I can control the water on the landscape. But here at this end of the terrace, where we have a few blueberry bushes, and then here's our older blueberry bushes, 4 or 5 here, and a couple old apple trees, and then down on this lower terrace we have more blueberry bushes and some other perennials in there. And then I've got flowers and arugula sprouting down there, perennials, some cilantro, and then right there by the bucket is a gooseberry, a perennial shrub that produces little fruits. And there's Rosie checking out the garden, and my brother. There's some spring garlic that got left in the ground last year, mixed with some spinach. And then at the end of this terrace, there's mustard that reseeded that's coming up. Also at the end of the terrace, there's a few more dwarf trees planted right next to my tool bucket there. There's another pear tree there. I think that's a Bartlett pear. And then a grafted dwarf peach tree with all the pink flowers there. And then on the lower terrace down below, we have some more spinach I just transplanted, but also there's potatoes growing down there, radishes, peas, mixed with perennials. And the place I just cultivated for the, I'm going to transplant a bunch of that spinach in there today. And Kitty really likes that when I scratch up the ground. She likes to roll around in there. It's like her little dust bath. And of course that's a catnip plant right there that she's getting her morning catnip. So here's the blueberries just starting to leaf out, and they'll be flowering real soon. Let's go down to the bottom terrace and get a closer look at what's going on there. You can see the terracing, maybe a little better here, and the swales. And then we have our blueberries, garlic that is just spreading by itself, Jerusalem artichoke that's just starting to poke out right there. There's a few of them in a row along there. And then we have some snapdragons, arugula just sprouting there, and some other flowers planted. I just transplanted between the rows of arugula. And here we have, I think it's cilantro I planted in there. And that's just starting to come up. The gooseberry bush, that's starting to flower. It's got these cool flowers that hang down. All become little berries. And then here I have some more flowers sprouting, flax, I think. There's the spinach. And that's a neat heirloom spinach with huge leaves from France. And here I've got some grass clippings and other stuff piled up, and I'm going to be using that to mulch the garlic up on the other terrace here. Here I have some garlic just spreading by itself, and I planted mustard in here last year and it's reseeding. So that's another thing that we're using that's often part of permaculture, is using reseeding annuals, taking advantage of their natural life cycle and letting them reseed in the right spot. And I got mustard I didn't have to plant or buy seeds for or cultivate or anything, but I'll just pick it. So here you can see there's a few kinds. There's a green one, a red one, and then another different kind of red one with more frilly leaves. And that's a noni berry. I'm gonna transplant probably right there. I haven't decided yet. And here's another pear tree, just starting to flower. And this one is Bartlett pear. Then we have down below more rhubarb. That's hyssop right there. And of course garlic. And that's yarrow. And our peach tree. There's the Asian pear. Alright, let's go down to the bottom terrace. Grapes, they'll be leafing out soon. That's our solar oven. We're roasting some coffee right now. We do solar roasted coffee. Here's the area I just cleared off. It has these vinca vines from our old landscaping. So that's getting transformed. We're probably going to get rid of those vinca vines, or most of them. And then down here we have this nice little plum tree. Just flowering. Purple plum. And here we have a lot of perennials. There's a big black flowering hollyhock. Right there, the leaves are coming out. There's the old stalks sticking up. And that's, boy, that's its third year coming up. So that one's surviving well. And this is a Rohan tree. Strawberries are mixed throughout the other perennials, which are sage, oregano. Here we have a currant, red currant, I think, and oregano, lots of oregano, yarrow. And in here, in these spaces between some of these, I will be transplanting some annual vegetable plants as well. Lavender. Here we have some red raspberries. And this is a propagation plot for the raspberries. So I just bought 6 plants. And now, you know, a year and a half later, I have as many red raspberry plants as I want. So they really reproduce well, so I'll just keep pulling them out of here and plant them wherever I want. This is some old white peonies from my grandmother coming up. And then a bunch of daffodils. There we have chives and catnip growing together. A bunch of compost I'm spreading around from this little pile. And that bed's getting ready to plant right there. I did transplant a few spinach on the end because it's a different variety and I wanted to see how it would take the cold at night. I never grew that one before. There's some garlic in there as well. And then here we have some irises, oriental poppy, catnip, strawberries, oregano right there, a big patch. And here we have some radishes sprouting, 2 rows, and some peas. So here's peas coming up and these are for shoots, so they're planted really thick, as you can see, and as they come up I'll just cut the tops off and we'll eat the fresh greens, the shoots, and they're delicious. And then also in here with this row of this first row of radishes, next to them are potatoes that are also just starting to come out of the ground. And those are potatoes that we saved. I stuck them out here early. They'll be shooting up, and the radishes will grow really quickly. And as I pull those out, the potatoes will be taking over that same spot. Oh, yeah. This is our permaculture garden, or where we're incorporating permaculture techniques. So you can see, like right here, we've created a little plant guild as part of the landscaping. So in there is a nice little plum tree and a sage bush, some feverfew, and a few other perennials. There's a verbascum there. You can see those big kind of grayish leaves on the left. Also, in the front there's some space, and I'll transplant, like maybe some hot peppers or something. So mixing our annual vegetables with aromatic perennials and fruit trees.